What's up, welcome back Nowstalgia. Dave here with my 2025 Oscars reaction. I'm going to recap the 2025 Oscars, talk about who won, what the big surprises of the night were, and also my general takeaways from the show and from the results. Overall, I did a pretty good job predicting this year. Only got 4 wrong, and the two of the ones I did get wrong were the bigger surprises of the night. We'll get into all that. But really, to start us off, the 2025 Oscars, the 2024 film year, this was all about Anora. Anora won 5 Academy Awards tonight. And specifically, director Sean Baker himself won 4 of those awards. Anora winning Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Film Editing, and Best Original Screenplay. Because Sean Baker is the sole screenwriter and the sole editor of Anora, as well as, of course, the director, Sean Baker becomes the first person to win 4 Academy Awards at the same ceremony since Walt Disney did it decades ago. Of course, when Disney did it, he won several of those on short subject categories. This is the first time it's happened for one person winning 4 awards with one movie. Also incredible that this happened with a independent film, independently financed movie that cost under $10 million, a small movie. Sean Baker, a long-standing champion of independent film, who's been rising in profile and status in his movie cachet over the last 10 years or so with the Florida Project and recently Red Rocket, now Anora. It's a really outstanding story and also a really just win. I think Anora winning Best Picture, I would have preferred The Brutalist to win, but I loved Anora. I had Anora number 4 in my top 10 this year. It's a fantastic win. Winning for Best Original Screenplay, winning for Best Film Editing, and winning Best Picture for that matter, not really surprises given all the takeaways and precursors and predicting that we had come to this point. Of course, we talked about that last week if you missed it. But the big surprise of all of this is Mikey Madison winning Best Actress for Anora, the titular role, of course, defeating Demi Moore in The Substance, who was the heavy favorite. And, if you look at the precursor, Mikey only won once during the whole lead up to this. Demi was dominating. And, this is kind of similar to how Adrien Brody dominated Best Actor the whole race, except for the one time he didn't win, which was when Chalamet won for the SAG Award. Mikey only had the one win, but this ended up just being the Anora wave, where Anora dominated and won almost everything it was nominated. And the only thing it didn't win was, of course, Best Supporting Actor, where Yuri Borisov did in fact still lose to Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain, which was to be expected. Kieran Culkin literally swept the entire race. This also becomes the second Best Picture win for Neon, of course, following Parasite 5 years ago. Awesome. Again, another small distributor like A24 recently winning Best Picture now multiple times before Netflix has won it once. Of course, Emilia Perez was the leading nominee at this year's Oscars before controversy really derailed that movie's campaign in most respects. But yeah, shout out Anora. It's a really cool story, and I think Anora winning continues the almost exclusively uptrend, positive trend in terms of the movies that are being honored by the Film Academy. The Oscars are largely picking great movies, and we talk about the expansion of the Academy in the last 10 years, and it's increasingly international, more international, population, its membership, and as a result of that, we're getting great nominees for the most part, and they're picking great winners. Now, are we a bit divorced from the most popular movies in the world versus the movies that are getting the most critical love and Academy love? Yes, that's been a trend that's been, happening for 20 years or so. So I think what's cool is that the Oscars are kind of doubling down on what film fans, film thinkers, film enjoyers, and the capital F sense really think about and gravitate towards. And they're just rewarding the good movies and leaving everything else to the side. It's pretty cool. Yes, did Emilia Perez get a shit ton of nominations despite a really polarizing reception? Yes, that still happens. It wasn't that long ago that Green Book won Best Picture after all. It's not perfect, I'm not saying that. But Parasite, Oppenheimer, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Anora, Poor Things winning 4 Oscars. Like we're in a great time in terms of the results, more or less, with the Academy Awards, and this is just really, I think, cool to see. And frankly, I don't give a fuck about like the ratings and the fact that the relevance of award shows in general is obviously waning. That's true across all mediums. It is what it is. I just like that the Oscars are kind of doing their thing the way they want to do it. And as a result, it was another long show, right? 3 hours, 45 minutes, under 4 hours. I'll take under 4 hours every time for the most part, but I'm happy. I don't need a 3 hour show. I'm happy with it being a little longer. I have no problem with letting Adrian Brody ramble on with his acceptance speech. You know, um, as a result, you're gonna have, uh, I think, a award ceremony that there always feels like there's fat that could have been trimmed, things that you didn't need in the show, right? And I think when you have an extended tribute to the late Quincy Jones, which I think is a great gesture, even if I didn't think the tribute was anything special per se. Maybe you don't also need a kind of off the cuff but extended tribute to the James Bond film franchise. Pretty curious timing that less than 2 weeks after Amazon acquired full creative control of the James Bond film franchise, that the Academy decides to honor Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson and then do a extended Bond tribute with a montage and also a medley of Bond songs performances, and have those songs performed by Lisa, Doja Cat, and Ray, because they all have a hit single from Lisa's new album that just came out. Did not expect any of that to happen. Did I enjoy the montage and the Bond tribute? I did. But that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of 10 minutes that a lot of people be like, why did you have that? It is what it is. I also love that, the ceremony this year really spread the love, spread the wealth as well as it could for the most part. Obviously Anora with the 5 wins. Wicked wins twice for production design and costume design. The Brutalist wins twice for cinematography and original score. Dune wins twice for visual effects and sound. I'm Still Here wins Best International Feature Film. Emilia Perez wins Best Supporting Actress and Best Original Song. So between all of that, that's almost all of the Best Picture nominees. The only Best Picture nominees that didn't win anything were Nickel Boys, which was to be expected, only had a few nominations, and also A Complete Unknown. And I think, if you're predicting, it kind of felt like that was going to happen to A Complete Unknown. It really all came down to if Timothée Chalamet could have won Best Actor and defeat Adrian Brody in The Brutalist. But Brody did in fact win, and as a result becomes the 10th or 11th, I forget the stat, 2-time Best Actor winner, which is astounding. Of course, it would have been historic if Timmy did win, because he would become the new youngest Best Actor winner, unseating Adrian Brody, who was the previous youngest. They're both age 29 when Brody won. Timmy right now. Pretty historic either way. It's split. It ends up going to Brody. And, long speech aside, I think the spirit of his speech I enjoyed. It was rambly. It was kind of out of order. You could have, if that was written down, you would have pieced the talking points in a different line, a line of thought for sure. Nonetheless, I went back and forth a lot on how I felt about who should win Best Actor between those two. And, I really did settle on Brody, because ultimately Brody is it's the better performance. Like, it's an absolutely astounding tour de force, like, epic performance in The Brutalist. And to me, that's just what it comes down to. It's just a really amazing piece of work. And Timmy was excellent in A Complete Unknown, but I think just Brody was just kind of on another level. Like, I think it was kind of it was better than he was in The Pianist, to be honest. Like, I think it's one of the great acting performances of recent times, and it was just that astounding, that massive, in a movie that's all about scale and scope and wowing you at every turn. But he was able to, deliver, and the fact that he ends up making history, being the 2-time winner, that's great. That doesn't really factor into my decision, but would it have been cool for Timothy Chalamet to get the win now? Get the win in his prime, in his star as high as it is right now. Yes, it would have been great. Hopefully, he doesn't have to wait a very long time the way like Al Pacino, Leonardo DiCaprio did. Let's hope. Timmy has excellent taste, working with amazing people. I'm sure he'll be back very soon. But yeah, I think Brody was the right call. The other acting wins, the two ones that were not surprising at all. Of course, Zoe Saldana wins supporting actress in Emilia Perez, Kieran Culkin supporting actor in A Real Pain. Both good. I don't have any beef with that. I mean, personally, I would have picked Guy Pearce in supporting actor instead. Another absolutely magnanimous, massive performance from him. But Culkin is a fine win nonetheless. No beef with it. And Zoe, I I've always admired her work, and to me it's kind of cool to see her like get such recognition, such plaudits from doing arguably the best work of her career. Basically, as soon as she stopped being heavily involved in franchise work where she had to paint her skin, of course, namely as Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy and Natiri in the Avatar films, it's cool to see Zoe play a real person and get recognized for it. Um, but it was good work for sure. I'm happy with it. And of course, I mentioned Mikey Madison beating Demi Moore for Best Actress. That was not something I predicted. I got that wrong, like most people did, because all the signs are pointing to Moore. But it was my preferred performance, of the field. Mikey Madison is in every single inch of Anora and is an absolute scene stealer. She is incredibly commanding, in that film. It's cool to see the ingenue back. The Oscars haven't really trended that way in terms of rewarding a young actress. We haven't really seen that too much in recent times. We're well past like the Marissa Tomei days. So this is cool that someone so young is getting recognized like this, and she's going to be a star no matter what off the strength of Anora. But it's really cool to see the win. I do feel for Demi Moore. I think the narrative that really coalesced around her candidacy when she gave the Golden Globe speech when she won, it was strong, and you have a sense that will she be able to get back to this point again? I'm not sure. The reason I would prefer Mikey, just purely picking who I want to win, the substance is more of a two-hander movie. Margaret Qualley is a huge aspect of that movie, whereas Anora is clearly the lead character in the film. So I feel for Demi Moore, but I'm quite happy that Mikey won, even though I did gasp. Like I was shocked just because I didn't really see it trending that way, even though it was expected that Nora would, do great tonight. I'm Still Here, winning Best International Feature Film, defeating Emilia Perez despite its significantly more nominations. That's what I predicted. A lot of people were predicting that, just given the controversy about Emilia Perez following Carlos Sofia Gascon's, tweets and whatnot. I'm happy with that, though. I mean, I'm Still Here. I had in my top 20 for the year. Emilia Perez was my least favorite of the Best Picture nominations, so it's pretty cut and dry for me. Shout out the nation of Brazil, which really rallied around I'm Still Here. I'm really happy that they got to see that recognition for a film that clearly has really resonated in Brazil, really performed well over there, and it's about a really serious topic that's still relevant today. It's a great story. Similarly, more of a surprise would be in Best Animated Feature Film, where The Wild Robot did not prevail as I predicted, but in fact, Flow won, which of course also was nominated for Best International Feature Film because that animated film is from Latvia, this being Latvia's first Oscar win. Really cool story. That's not a movie that I connected with nearly as much as others did. The Wild Robot I had, 10th on my list this year. I respect Flow though, and I do think it's outside the box and unique compared to the usual suspects that you find in that category. So I think that alone is plenty good reason to be happy about the win. And again, I'm sure Latvia is really excited about that. The other two awards I predicted wrong were production design, which went to Wicked. I picked The Brutalist. Wicked was the favorite. I just went a little different there with my lean. I was wrong with that. And also sound, I got wrong. Sound went to Dune, but I picked Wicked. So I still picked Wicked to win twice. I just didn't pick the right two. I only got one of them right. Yeah, so in terms of the other wins, just kind of going through the flow of it. Again, going through the flow of it, the first award was Flow winning Best Animated Feature Film. I'm going to skip the shorts like I did with my predicting. Moving on from that, Wicked wins Best Costume Design. Paul Tazwell becomes the first black male winner of that award. Very nice. Original Screenplay goes to Sean Baker and Anora. Adapted Screenplay goes to Conclave. Makeup and hairstyling goes to The Substance. I love the June Squibb, Bill Skarsgård bit. That was really funny. Editing goes to Sean Baker and Anora. Supporting actress to Zoe Saldana. Production design goes to Wicked. Original song goes to El Mal from Emilia Perez, which was the favorite, of course. Best documentary feature goes to No Other Land. Best sound and best visual effects both go to Dune Part 2. Best cinematography goes to The Brutalist, Lowell Crawley with the win there. That was what I predicted. That was the correct choice to me. I mean, apologies to Nickel Boys, because Nickel Boys has really flashy, like, intentional cinematography with its POV presentation. But to me, like, the Brutalist cinematography was just so spectacular and so essential to that movie working, and I'm really happy with that win. Similarly, Best Original Score for The Brutalist goes to Daniel Bloomberg. That's the best score apart from Challengers, of the 2020s. Like, to me, those are the two best scores of the last 5 years. And the fact that Challengers was completely ignored this year, still mind-blowing to me, completely ridiculous. Adrian Brody wins Best Actor. Sean Baker wins Best Director. Mikey wins Best Actress. Anora wins Best Picture. And I'm Still Here wins Best International Feature Film. That's all the dubs. In terms of the flow, I love Conan. I thought Conan's opening monologue was great. And of course that followed up, I think, a really nice kind of tribute to LA, following the fires, everything that happened. Of course, the fires affected award season, affected the film industry tremendously. Very recently, of course, having that tie into then Cynthia Erivo doing Defying Gravity, following Ariana Grande doing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Made complete sense to have those two singing at this show, and I love that decision over performing all of the best original songs. Easy decision when the Wicked songs are not eligible for Best Original Song, and the songs that are in that category largely suck. No one really wants to hear them. So yeah, happy with that. Conan, again, love what he did. I thought the Substance opening bit was funny. The Anora F word, Carlos Sofia Gascon tweets joke, excellent, really funny. The John Lithgow long speech joke was good. Adam Sandler kind of closing it out. Then the I Won't Waste Time, like, song and dance, even though the show still was 3 hours and 45 minutes. I loved all that stuff. Interestingly, they showed clips for all the movies throughout, and they showed clips before Best Actor and Best Actress and Best Picture. But they didn't show clips for supporting, and instead you had Robert Downey Jr. riffing on all the nominees, and then Define Joy Randolph reading a speech about all the nominees for the two supporting characters. Of course, they're the previous winners of the award. Interesting choice. I'm very pro clip. Frankly, I would just love to have like lots of clips of the nominees and less stuff not related to the current movie year, like excise the Bond stuff, for example. Even excise a Quincy Jones tribute for the most part. Leave that to the Grammys, honestly. That being said, I kind of loved Robert Downey Jr. riffing just because he's so good at that kind of thing. He's so charismatic. I love the pre-recorded bit of Conan with Cinema Streams, which is just an ad for going to the movie theater. Nice tie-in to Sean Baker's continuing rallying cry about the movie theater experience and how essential it is to the culture of movies and the business of movies, for that matter. Best Original Song, introduced by Mick Jagger. Again, I feel bad for Mick that they wheeled him out there to introduce a really very forgettable crop of song nominees. Obviously, great to see firefighters there represented, following everything they've had to do in LA recently. And then one of the firefighters gets a great dig about Joker 2 producers losing their home. Really funny. In Memoriam, always, I think, done very tastefully, actually teed up by Morgan Freeman, doing a little bit about Gene Hackman, who just very, very recently passed, of course, quite tragically and in a kind of unknown circumstances as far as we know right now. The music choice was kind of odd with In Memoriam. It was a bit more ominous than it normally is. Nonetheless, I still thought it was, really good. I mean, lost a lot of legends like seemingly every year. I love that Quentin Tarantino introduced Best Director this year just because of the symmetry with Baker in many respects in terms of independent film origins. Tarantino is a massive advocate for the theater experience, an owner of a theater in LA, of course. Um, that was great. Yeah, really happy with it. 2024, despite being a movie year that was strike affected and didn't necessarily have the depth that the average movie year does, I actually saw less new movies last year than I have in the last like 4 or 5 years as a result. I still thought the top of this year was very excellent, and the Oscars continued to largely get things right, and I'm pretty happy about that. So we'll see what happens next year. Of course, next week I'll be doing my early 2026 Oscar predictions and talking about just the slate of movies that potentially could be in the mix next year, and it's a easy way to kind of preview the year. So we'll talk about all of that and try and look ahead and forecast what potentially is on the table this year. And of course, if you love movies, make sure you come back. I endeavor to watch 100 new movies every single year and talk about almost all of them on the channel. And if you like award shows, including the Emmys and the Grammys, as well as the Oscars, stick around. Let me know what you thought of the Oscar ceremony this year. What was your favorite movie? Who were you pulling for? And I'll see you next time.